Hello everyone and welcome to part 3 of our Ubuntu command line fundamentals for bioinformatics, where we are building foundation for the Ubuntu command line for our OmicsNexa bioinformatics summer sprint. In part 1 and part 2, we learned the basic language of the Linux command line. We learned how to navigate between directories, create and manage files and folders, inspect text files, search within files, work with columns using commands such as cut and awk, and combine commands using pipes and redirection. In this part, we are going to build directly on those fundamentals and move closer to the kinds of operations we actually perform in bioinformatics. We will begin by learning how to work with many sequencing files at the same time using file name patterns. Then we will learn how to search for files, inspect FASTQ files, work with compressed sequencing data, verify file integrity, inspect computational resources, and eventually automate commands using a simple bash script. At the end of part 2, I was working inside tables directory. I'm going to continue directly from there. I'm going to start by creating a new directory called sequences. The command here is mkdir. Mkdir stands for make directory, as we have already seen in the previous parts of this lecture series. After the command, I provide one argument, sequences. That argument is simply the name of the directory that I want to create. So the general syntax is mkdir followed by the name of the directory. In this case, because I am currently inside the tables directory, this new sequences directory will be created inside tables. Remember that unless we provide an absolute path, Linux interprets locations relative to our current working directory. Now I want to enter the directory that I just created. For that, I use cd. cd stands for change directory. The syntax is cd followed by the directory that we want to enter. Here the directory name is sequences. So after I press enter, my current working location changes from tables directory into the sequences directory. We are going to use this directory to create a few artificial sequencing file names. These will not contain real sequencing data yet. At first, we are only interested in the file names because I want to introduce an extremely useful Linux concept, wildcards. I'm using a command that we already encountered in the previous versions of this lecture series, touch. Touch can be used to create an empty file if that file does not already exist. The syntax is very simple, touch followed by the file name. Here my file name is sample1_r1.fastq. Let us understand this file name because it resembles the naming convention that you will frequently encounter in sequencing data. Sample1 represents the biological sample, _r1 indicates read1, and .fastq is the file extension. In paired end sequencing, we generally obtain two corresponding sequencing files for each sample. One contains read1, usually labeled r1, and the other contains read2, usually labeled r2. For now, remember that these are only empty demonstration files. We are creating them so that we can practice selecting and manipulating multiple sequencing files. I will now create the corresponding R2 file for sample 1. The command is exactly the same, only the file name changes from R1 to R2. I will repeat the same process for sample 2 and sample 3. So sample 2 receives an R1 file and an R2 file, and sample 3 also receives an R1 file and an R2 file. We now have 3 hypothetical paired end samples that gives us 6 sequencing file names in total. With 3 samples, manually typing file names is still manageable. But imagine that instead of 3 samples, we had 30 samples, 100 samples, or several hundred sequencing files. We would not want to type every file name individually whenever we wanted to perform an operation. This is where file name patterns become extremely useful. I'm going to introduce the first wildcard using the echo command. We already encountered echo earlier. Echo prints whatever we provide to it, but here instead of providing a normal piece of text, I have written asterisk followed by .fastq. The asterisk is a wildcard. In bash, the asterisk can represent any number of characters. So this pattern means anything can come before .fastq, but the file name must end in .fastq. Before the command actually runs, bash looks inside the current directory and identifies file names matching this pattern. Let us press enter and see what happens. We can see all 6 fastq file names. This is an important concept to understand. The asterisk does not literally mean the word all, it represents a file name pattern. Bash expands that pattern into the file names that match it. So when I write echo *fastq, bash identifies all file names ending in .fastq and those matching file names are then supplied to echo. This mechanism is called file name expansion or globbing. If we write echo *_r1.fastq, then I am making the pattern more specific. Let us read it from left to right. The asterisk means there can be any characters at the beginning, but after those characters, the file name must end exactly with _r1.fastq. So what do we expect? We should get only the files corresponding to read 1. And that is exactly what we see. Sample 1 R1, sample 2 R1 and sample 3 R1. The corresponding R2 files have not been selected because they do not match our pattern. If I change R1 to R2, the same logic now selects only our read2 files. This becomes extremely useful in sequencing analysis. For example, imagine that a program needs all of our R1 files as input. Rather than manually entering 30 different file names, we may be able to describe the entire group using an appropriate pattern. The asterisk is not the only wildcard available to us. Another useful wildcard is the question mark. There is an important difference between these two. An asterisk can represent any number of characters. A question mark represents exactly one character. Let us break down this pattern. First, I have the literal word sample. Then I have one question mark. Then _r1.fastq. This means that after the word sample, bash expects exactly one character before _r1.fastq. Our files are named sample 1, sample 2 and sample 3. Each of those numbers contains exactly one character. So all 3 R1 files should match. And we can see all 3. Now consider what would happen if we also had a file named sample 10 _r1.fastq. The number 10 contains 2 characters, 1 and 0. Therefore, this particular pattern containing only one question mark would not match sample 10 _r1.fastq. We could use 2 question marks if we specifically wanted exactly 2 characters. This difference between asterisk and question mark is useful when file names follow a predictable naming convention. We can make our pattern even more specific using square brackets. Inside the square brackets, I've written 1 and 2. Square brackets mean that this particular position may contain one of the characters listed inside the brackets. Therefore, square 12 means either the character 1 or the character 2. The rest of the file name must still match exactly. So this should select sample 1 _r1.fastq and sample 2 _r1.fastq but not sample 3. And that is what we get. Instead of listing every character individually, we can sometimes specify a range. So if you write within square brackets 1, 2, 3 means any character from 1 through 3, therefore sample 1, sample 2 and sample 3 all match. These patterns become particularly useful when datasets use systematic sample naming conventions. Now I want to show you something that looks similar to a wildcard but technically works differently. These are curly brackets. This feature is called brace expansion. Instead, the braces have written 1:3. Bash interprets this as a sequence from 1 through 3. So rather than searching the directory for matching file names, bash generates 3 pieces of text. Sample 1 _r1.fastq, sample 2 _r1.fastq and sample 3 _r1.fastq. Notice the conceptual difference. A wildcard such as an asterisk searches for file names that actually match a pattern. Brace expansion generates combinations of text. Those generated file names do not necessarily have to exist. But brace expansion can still generate those names. So brace expansion is useful when we already know the pattern that we want to generate. We can also combine brace expansions. The first set generates the numbers 1 through 3. The second set contains 1 and 2. Bash generates every combination. So for sample 1, we obtain R1 and R2. Then sample 2, R1 and R2 and sample 3, R1 and R2. This is a very convenient way of generating predictable groups of file names. Before we move on, I want to connect this directly to bioinformatics. Sequencing projects usually follow systematic naming conventions. We may have sample identifiers, treatment groups, biological replicates, sequencing lanes, and R1 and R2 information encoded directly in file names. For example, a real file name might look something like control_rep1_r1.fastq.gz. File name patterns allow us to select groups according to those naming conventions. If we write echo control *_r1.fastq.gz, this could select the R1 files belonging to control samples, provided our file names follow that convention. This is one reason good file naming is extremely important in computational biology. A consistent naming scheme does not simply make a folder look organized, it allows us to select and process groups of files programmatically. There is also one important safety principle. Whenever we intend to use a wildcard with a command that changes, moves, or deletes files, first test the pattern with a harmless command such as echo. Confirm exactly which file names the pattern expands to. Only after checking the pattern should you use it with a command that modifies your data. This becomes especially important with commands such as rm, which could remove or delete your file permanently. Wildcards work extremely well when we know where our files are and how their names are structured. But there is another common situation. Imagine that we are working on a large project containing many directories and subdirectories, and we know that a particular FASTQ file exists somewhere in that project, but we do not remember exactly where. Or perhaps we want to identify every FASTQ file across the entire project, including files located inside different subdirectories. For that, we need a different command. The command is called find. Let us read this command one part at a time. The dot means begin searching from the current directory. Remember that a single dot represents the current working directory. The option -type F means return objects whose type is file. The letter F stands for a file. The command searches the current directory and all directories below it. This is called a recursive search. Now we are adding a file name condition. The option -name tells find that we want to search by file name. The pattern is placed inside quotation marks. The quotation marks prevent bash from expanding the wildcard before find receives it. This allows the find command itself to search recursively for matching files. The command returns every FASTQ file below the current directory. This difference is very important. A pattern such as ls sequences /**fastq searches only inside the specified directory, but find can search through multiple directory levels. And if we replace f with d, the command returns directories instead of files. Here we can see the directory structure below our current location. That is it for today's video. There is one more part left for the Fundamentals of Ubuntu Command Line lecture series. And after that, we will straight up jump into the project that we are going to work on during our OmicsNexa Bioinformatics summer sprint. So see you in the next lecture. I hope you practice.